Fixez.com bringing you another repair video today. Looks like we're going to be working on a Motorola Moto X. In today's video, we're going to show you the steps necessary to remove and replace the display assembly on your Moto X. Before we get started with our disassemble, let's review our suggested tools. T5 Torx screwdriver, plastic opening tools, a spudger, SIM card ejection tool, fine-tipped curved tweezers, precision knife set, a heat gun or a blow dryer. Taking a look here at our Moto X, let's be sure to go ahead and power the phone down before we get started with our disassemble. And let's begin by removing the SIM card tray out of the side of the phone using a SIM card removal tool or a paper clip. The seam that connects the rear cover for the Moto X is considerably tight. We released our first clip here for the back cover using our precision knife kit. With the first clip removed down by the dock port, we then brought in a plastic opening tool to continue the separation all the way around the perimeter, but not removing the back cover. As we still have a ribbon cable that needs to be released from its locking socket, and then we can remove the back cover from the Moto X. The power and volume buttons are going to be free at this point. Let's make sure that we keep track of those so we don't lose them for our reassembly. We're going to bring in our T5 Torx bit screwdriver, as we have 11 screws in the back here that we need to remove. Let's carefully remove the protective cover here on the bottom. And next, remove the top protective cover. Let's now work towards removing the battery out of the center of the phone, starting here with our locking socket for our volume button ribbon cable. We have another connector here we can gently pry up from the motherboard, and then two small connectors here that we also can pry up. Now, using the flat side of our spudger, we can get it under the battery, releasing it from its securing adhesive, and gently peeling it away from our Moto X. Removing the front-facing camera out of the corner of the phone is as easy as prying up on the connector. Let's carefully use the flat side of our spudger and lift up the motherboard from the display assembly portion of our phone. Before separating the two parts, let's be sure to unlock the socket that's securing the ribbon cable in place. We can now safely remove the motherboard from our Moto X. The earpiece speaker is easily pried out of its housing using our curved tweezers. And let's remove our power and volume buttons off the side of the phone here. We suggest using a heat gun or a blow dryer to soften up the adhesive, making this delicate part easier to peel up. At this point, I do want to bring in our replacement part, as we do have different versions for the Moto X. Here's the first version with our display assembly built in with the frame. Purchasing the display with the already built-on frame makes your work a little bit easier, You're just going to transplant everything that we've taken off our original display and put them onto the new replacement part here. We're going to continue forward with our disassembly so that we can show you how to separate the display assembly from your original framework, as our other version for our Moto X does not come with the frame already pre-installed. Let's begin the separation of our display from our framework here, noticing the locking pins in each side of the phone. When you're pushing these locking pins out, it's a good idea to have a hand or something in front of them so they don't get lost as they come out of the side of the frame. With all of your pins removed, the only thing securing the frame is a series of delicate clips that's around the perimeter of the phone. We're using our curved tweezers here to gently peel these clips away. Until the framework comes loose and we're left with just our display assembly. Let's get started rebuilding our Moto X. First by putting the framework down on the display assembly. Let's get it clipped into place with the clips that surround the perimeter of the framework. We can go ahead and set in the earpiece speaker into its housing that's just on the side of the front-facing camera. Our power and volume button assembly can go back on the side of the phone. It should stick into place with the securing adhesive. Let's now bring in the motherboard into position so that we can secure the ribbon cable into its appropriate locking socket, making sure it's fully in the socket before securing it down with the lock. Flip the motherboard back into place into the body of the phone and snap it down with the series of clips. Next, we can bring the front-facing camera up into the corner, set it into the housing, and then firmly press down on its connector to secure it into place. Next, we can bring in the battery, starting here with our connection in the corner, followed by the second one here right beside it. Our third connector up here at the top, and our final connection, which is the ribbon wire here for our power and volume buttons, into the locking socket and closing it down to secure it. Let's position the upper protective plate onto our phone and secure it down with the 5 T5 Torx bit screws. Followed by our lower cover here, secured with 4 screws. Let's finally bring in the locking pins for the framework to attach our display assembly. Be very careful with these, they do get lost easily. You're going to set them into the holes and then firmly press them in until they're flush to secure them. Let's not forget our securing bar here in the side, held down with the last 2 of our T5 Torx screws. And we're in the home stretch now. Let's position our power and volume buttons into place. And we can now bring in our rear cover, positioning the ribbon cable near the locking socket so that we can secure it down. And then line up the rear cover so that we can snap it into place, firmly pressing down around the perimeter of the Moto X. And finally, install our SIM card tray holder. And there you have it. Another successful repair by Fixez.com. All of the parts and tools you've seen today in this video are available at www.fixez.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.